This training will cover Chapter 15, Sponsors of Unaffiliated Sites, Unaffiliated Sites, and is presented by the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs, also known as ODE-CNP. This video will review information on agreements, adding and closing sites, site edits, resuming site participation, denials, site transfers, withholding administrative costs, and disbursement of reimbursement, and miscellaneous requirements. After this video, you will understand the types of agreements for unaffiliated sites, understand what is needed to add and close a site, know what is needed when making changes to the site, understand reasons for a site's denial, understand what is needed for a site to resume participation, understand how and why a site may transfer sponsors, understand the requirements for administrative costs and dispersing reimbursement, and understand miscellaneous requirements for sponsors of unaffiliated sites. There are two types of permanent agreements between sponsors and unaffiliated sites. The first is a permanent agreement between sponsor and unaffiliated site. This applies to the traditional sponsor-site relations in which the sponsor passes through funds to the site for operations of the nonprofit food service. The other is the permanent agreement between sponsor and unaffiliated site. Sponsor provides meals and snacks. This agreement applies to sponsors that also serve as the meal service vendor and conducts the nonprofit food service for the site. In this instance, the sponsor retains 100% of the meal reimbursement. To add a new site, the following items need to be completed and/or submitted to ODE-CNP. A revision to the sponsor annual budget, both online and offline documents, submit a completed add site form, and once ODE-CNP sends notification the site is available, the sponsor must complete the site's information sheet in CNP Web and submit it for pending approval. When adding a new site, ODE-CNP will not approve a site's participation, and sponsors may not claim reimbursement for meals served at a site before the latest of the following dates: effective date of the site's CCLD license, date of the pre-approval visit, beginning effective date on the permanent agreement between sponsoring organization and unaffiliated site, latest date that the permanent agreement between sponsoring organization and unaffiliated site is signed by the site or the sponsoring organization, or date of participation that ODE-CNP assigns. As a reminder, the approval date for the site will be the latest of these 5 dates. To terminate or close a site, the following items need to be completed and/or submitted to ODE-CNP. A revision to the sponsor annual budget, both online and offline documents, submit an inactivate site form, update the site's information sheet in CNP Web to enter the end date and uncheck any months that the site will no longer operate in, and submit the site information sheet for pending approval. Occasionally, a site needs to be updated to reflect the actual meal time, meals being served, etc. These are the steps a sponsor needs to take for the site to be approved for these changes. First, the sponsor must update the site information sheet in CNP Web and submit it for pending approval. The sponsor must provide a copy of the site application with changes indicated on it to the site for their records. This can be a hard or electronic copy. Additionally, the sponsor must maintain a copy of the site application with changes indicated in their files as well. It's time for a quick knowledge check. True or false? If the sponsor does not provide meals to the site, the sponsor will use the permanent agreement between sponsor and unaffiliated site. This is true, as this agreement is considered to be the traditional sponsor-site relationship. In this agreement, the sponsor provides the site with funds to operate their own nonprofit food service. A sponsored site whose permanent agreement between sponsoring organization and unaffiliated site has been terminated by mutual consent that wants to resume its participation in the same program year must participate with the same sponsor unless the site has good cause for a transfer and ODECMP approves the site to transfer to another sponsor, the site signs a permanent agreement between sponsoring organization and unaffiliated site for the next program year with another sponsor, or the site applies to participate directly as a sponsor with ODECMP. Sponsors must ensure a resuming site is eligible to participate and submit the same items as required for adding a new site when resuming participation. A site's participation will be denied if the site is already participating with another CACFP sponsor, the site, responsible principals, and/or responsible individuals have been declared seriously deficient and is on the National Disqualified List, or NDL, the site signed the permanent agreement between sponsoring organization and unaffiliated site with multiple sponsors, the sponsor whose permanent agreement between sponsoring organization and unaffiliated site shows the earliest signature date of both the site and the sponsor representative has a legally binding application and agreement, or the site is otherwise ineligible to participate. Sponsoring organizations cannot recruit or enter into agreements with sites that are currently participating or have participated with another sponsor in the current program year. Sites that want to transfer from one sponsor to another must do the following. First, they must request in writing and receive prior approval for the transfer from their current sponsoring organization that also states the site's intention to terminate their agreement and the effective date of the termination. The site must also demonstrate good cause for the transfer request. So what is meant by good cause? Transferring from one sponsor to another during the program year is limited to the following good cause conditions. A sponsor denies a site access to the program. A sponsor reduces their level of benefit a site receives under the program. For example, the sponsor will not allow sites to claim suppers or weekend meals because the sponsor does not want to monitor these meal services, or any other good cause as determined by the current sponsor. It is the site's responsibility to demonstrate that such conditions exist. Time for a knowledge check, which is not a reason for a site to be denied approval to participate in the CACFP. Is it A, the site is participating with another CACFP sponsor? B, the site is already providing participants with meals? C, the site, responsible principals, and/or responsible individuals have been declared seriously deficient and are on the National Disqualified List? Or D, the site has permanent agreements with another sponsor? The answer is B. The site is already providing participants with meals. If anything, this is a reason why a site should be participating in the CACFP. The other options are all reasons that a site would be denied. A sponsor of unaffiliated sites must only withhold an amount not to exceed 15% of each month's CACFP reimbursement to pay for actual, allowable administrative costs incurred. In other words, sponsors of unaffiliated sites must limit the amount of reimbursement payments that can be applied to administrative costs for sponsoring organizations of sites to the lesser of 15% of the total reimbursement payments received or net allowable administrative costs incurred. Sponsors of unaffiliated sites must disperse reimbursements to its sites within 5 days of receipt of payment from ODECMP. This includes advances if applicable. All sponsors of unaffiliated sites must document and record all unaffiliated site CACFP disbursements each month. Unaffiliated sites operating under a sponsoring organization are not required by regulation or policy to conduct procurements that uphold free and open competition, i.e., they are free to purchase food and other items according to their own practices. Facilities can be daycare homes, affiliated centers, or unaffiliated centers that have an agreement with a sponsoring organization. Sponsors of unaffiliated sites must perform edit checks on all sites it sponsors, including a review of daily records such as meal counts, attendance records, and menus, and documentation of enrollment of each participant, for instance, child enrollment forms, though at-risk after-school care sites, emergency shelters, and outside school hour care centers are excluded from this. Let's finish this video strong with one last knowledge check. True or false, unaffiliated sites are required to follow the procurement plan that their sponsoring organization follows. The answer is false. Unlike sponsors, unaffiliated sites are not required by regulation or policy to conduct procurements that uphold free and open competition. They are free to make food service purchases according to their own practices. This video covered agreements, adding and closing sites, site edits, resuming site participation, denials, site transfers, withholding administrative costs and disbursement of reimbursement, and miscellaneous requirements. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking this training.